So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to model a CD jewel case. Just an extra little detail to put into our scene. And it's going to be a good challenge to go ahead and do this because we're going to be using a few different techniques that we haven't even explored yet. So let's go ahead and get started. As usual, Alt-6 to open up an image clip viewer. I'm going to go to File, I'm going to import an image clip, and I'm going to use this image right here that I found off the internet. And it's a really small, very small image, but I'm going to try to work with it as best as I can. So we can see all the details that we really need to see in this image right here. Let me go ahead and maximize this view here. And we're going to go ahead and model most of this detail here, and I'm going to show you a few techniques to be able to achieve some of that detail and get this going. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start off by creating this sort of back piece here where the CD actually lays down and fits into. So let's see how we can go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to primitive and I'm going to create a polygon cylinder. And I'm going to give it 24 subdivisions. It's going to be good enough for the time being. I'm going to knock down the base and V subdivisions to 1 and 1. I'm also going to switch to shaded view. And I'm also going to turn my grid off by hitting G on the keyboard. Alright. I'm also going to flatten this out a bit. I want it to be pretty flat. So something like that looks like it's going to work out just fine. Maybe a little bit thicker. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it in the X and the Z axis at the same time to make it obviously bigger. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is pretty simple. I'm going to go to polygon mode and I'm going to alt and middle click so I pick that entire loop of edges all the way around the edge of this cylinder, of this disc that we just created. I'm going to hit Control D to extrude. And I'm going to go to local mode and I'm just going to push this out, not too much. Something like this will actually work just fine. Now I'm going to go into my top view here. And in my top view, I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to start to select these top vertices, this whole range of vertices up there. I'm going to switch to global mode. And I'm going to make sure my snap is set to grid. I'm going to snap this to the grid to about here. I'm going to select all of these vertices over here, all these points. I'm going to snap them to the grid. I'm going to select all of these over here. I'm going to snap those to the grid. Then I'm going to select all the ones down here, snap those to the grid. Now I'm just going to take these, this one here in the corner, snap it there, snap that one there, snap that one there, and snap this one here in the corner. So now I have pretty much a perfectly square type shape around the disc, which is exactly what I want to do. Okay, with that done, now I can actually create the sort of indentation, so to speak, where the disc is actually going to lay into. So in polygon mode, let's pick this entire disc shaped polygons right there in the middle. We're going to hit Control D to extrude that, and we're going to extrude that downward. Not too far, something like this will actually work. Okay, then I'm going to extrude again, and this time I'm going to scale it in. I'm going to turn on COG here. And I'm going to scale it in about this much. I'm trying to get this little shape that's right in there. So I'm going to scale it in maybe about this much. Might be good. See, something like this. Looks pretty good right there. Now I'm going to hit Control D to extrude again, and this time I'm going to pull it up. And I'm going to extrude it in on itself a little bit. Now that I got this part done, I have to work on this part that's right here. Okay? So let's extrude one more time. I'm going to bring this in to about maybe about right there. Looks good. I'm going to extrude again. I'm going to bring it in about this much. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to select this polygon, Alt and middle click this one to select the ring all the way around, that little loop right there. And what I'm going to do is right click and I'm going to go to Extrude Along Axis. When I do that, I'm going to make sure I turn Merge off, and I'm going to take the inset amount and I'm going to give it a little bit of inset. So, very small amount. Something like 0.003 looks like it's going to work good. You want to go for very small amount in this case. I'm also going to bring the extrude length up. Okay, something like that. I'm going to go to transform and I'm going to go to translation, and see, I'm going to translate it in the z-axis just a little bit, not too much. So maybe something like this will work pretty good, something like that. I'm also going to knock the extrude down a little bit. Okay. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my side view here. And I'm going to go to edge mode with the E key. And I'm going to select all those edges right there. Now with all of those selected, I'm going to right click. I'm going to split edges with split control. And I'm going to pull that up a bit, something like that. Looks like it's going to work pretty good. And now I'm going to go to polygon mode and I'm going to select all of these different polygons that are up here. It's a little bit tedious, but let's just go ahead and get it done. It only takes less than a minute actually to select all those polygons. Now if all of those selected, I'm simply going to go to Control D to extrude. I'm going to go to local mode and turn COG off. And I'm going to extrude this locally, and it's going a little bit too far on me. So I'm going to undo. What I'm going to do instead, edit that out of the video, is I'm going to extrude along axis here. And I'm going to extrude it to about this point right there. And I'm going to give it some inset, an inset amount. So I'll give it some inset to about that much, and I'm going to increase the length here. I'm going to go to transform, and I'm going to transform this in the z-axis. Let's transform this in the z-axis a little bit like this. Something like that looks pretty good. Okay, that's not too bad, not too bad. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that like that. I think that looks pretty decent. I'm going to freeze modeling on that. Alright, now with that done, what I want to do is change this up a little bit. What I mean by that is I want to give it less space. So I'm going to pick all of these different vertices over here, these different points. And I'm going to scale them down and in a little bit, so it's pretty thin. So something more like that, because you can see it's pretty thin here on these sides. So now that we got that part done, actually the hardest part just got finished. So let's go ahead and do this part that's right here, which is actually going to be pretty easy to do. So I'm going to select that polygon, Alt, select that one with the left mouse button. I'm going to hit Control D. I'm going to go with global, COG. I'm going to extrude this out to about, let me see, that's pretty good distance. Something like this. Yeah, something like this looks like it works pretty good. Then I'm going to select all those polygons on the top, and I'm going to extrude those up a bit. Something like that looks pretty good. Alright. Now that I did that, what I need to do... Damn it. Now that I did that, what I need to do is create a bottom lip area down here, and you'll see why I'm actually doing that in a moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this edge and Alt and middle click that edge to select the entire ring all the way around. But I don't want to select some of these edges, so let me go to wireframe mode here. I'm going to deselect all of those because I don't want to select those right there. I don't need to select those. Okay, once that's done, what I'm going to do is right click and I'm going to go to extrude split edges with split control, and something like that is going to work out pretty good. Okay, once that's done, let me look at my reference image, and okay, what I'm going to do is select this polygon here, and what that's going to do is select all the polygons right here along that edge. Okay. Now I'm going to hit Control D to extrude this. I'm going to take COG off, and I'm just going to scale that out a little bit to create that lip right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually extrude again and create an extra little lip right there. It's actually a good reason for that, by the way. You'll see later on why that is. Alright. Okay. Now I need to just extrude this little part here and this little part right there. And that's actually going to be pretty easy to do. What I'm going to do is freeze modeling here real quick. I'm going to select this polygon right there, and then I'm going to select this polygon and that one right there, and I'll probably just select all of these that go all the way around here. Just want to make sure I pick the right ones, and that's not one of them. I'm going to hit Control D, and I'm going to pull these up. I'm going to go into my side view here and pull them up to about there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Look at that. Not bad. Not bad at all. Alright. Let me turn on wireframe on shaded so it makes it easier to see my wireframe and my topology and what it is I'm working with here. Alright, so now with that done right there, what I can do is I can actually create the top piece, the actual plastic see-through transparent cover. I'll create that from a brand new cube. I'm going to have to make that pretty thin. So actually it's going to be something about that thin right there. And in the top view here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to extrude this out, or scale it out I should say, till it gets to about here. I guess here's good. Something like that will work out just fine. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and select these vertices that are over here, which happen to be these right there. And the reason I'm selecting those, you'll see why. If I push this down like so and push those vertices back, I need to leave a little gap right in there because that's the way that the real thing is. It's got a little gap right there. So I think about this size of a gap is going to be just fine. Maybe something like that will work out just great. Alright, now I'm going to go to polygon mode, and I'm going to select this polygon as well as this one and this one. I'm going to extrude. And I'm going to extrude that out just a little bit, not too much. And going into the top view is actually going to help me out better here. Well, something like that will work out just fine. And I'm just going to pull the whole thing up. So it kind of just sits on top of there like that. And now it's going to be pretty simple. All I have to do is select these polygons right here. Control D to extrude, and I'm going to pull that down to about, I don't want it to clip through, so I'll just pull it down to about that much is good. And now with that done, all I have to do is select these polygons right here, as well as these polygons right there. Hit extrude and extrude that out to about out here. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is simply grab them and snap them to the grid. Actually, what I need to do actually is right click, go to select adjacent points, and now I can go ahead and snap them to the grid. That way they become straightened out. So I can pull them to about, I don't know, something like this would be fine. That looks like it'll work. I'm going to select this guy right here. Actually, I'm going to pick this guy right here. I'm going to go to material, assign it a new material, and I'm going to go here to transparency and reflection. I'm going to go to transparency and give it some transparency here. Maybe I'll go for like something like a blue color will look good. Okay. Maybe I'll give it a little bit of reflection here. Alright. And maybe I'll give it some index of refraction. Alright. I'll go ahead and render that. Should end up with something like this. So that's looking, that's actually looking pretty good. Okay, so let's touch this up. All I need to do is come in here, just select that, Shift Alt select that. So now I have all these edges running around the side of this. But before I do anything else, what I need to do is with this object selected, freeze the modeling, as well as come in here and freeze all transforms. Now go back to my edge mode. Right click, bevel that out, maybe give it a couple of subdivisions there, 2 will be just fine. Render that out. Now we get nice soft edges right there, which is really good. It's exactly what I want. Okay, I'm going to select the top cover and I'm going to hit H to hide it. Now you notice that I do end up with a little bit of a problem here, this nasty shading. And the reason it's happening is because the normals don't have the correct threshold on the shading. So what we need to do is we need to fix that. So it's actually really easy to fix. All I need to do is come in here, select these edges here, so the entire loop all the way around, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to Mark Hard Edge Vertex. And as soon as I do that, the problem is fixed. See that? Excellent. Now you also notice that you have some faceting here along the edges of this. See that the faceting is right there. You can see kind of a blocky edges there. That's easy to fix. Let's touch that up. Let's select that edge right there, Alt, middle click that edge. That way we pick the entire loop, or ring I should say, all the way around. And that's just a matter of beveling that. With one subdivision should be more than enough. Increase the size of that. And there we go. Now it's actually a lot smoother. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm happy with that. That looks pretty good. and I might want to come in here and grab that entire loop there and maybe bevel that out just to make it look a little bit better. Alright, pretty good. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring the CD cover there. Go ahead and save. Let's do a little quick render region there of that. And there we go. We have a CD jewel case completely done. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually grab this, and I need to go ahead and export this out. Since this is going to be two separate parts, I'm going to export this out a little bit differently. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Export, and this time I'm going to export as a model instead. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select this object here, and I'm going to go to Parent, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I middle mouse button click on the CD case cover. So now the CD case cover becomes the parent of the whole thing. And with the CD case cover selected, I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go to Export Model, and I'm going to export this as a model, and I'm going to export it as CD case. There we go. So that's done. Alright, we're done with that. Thanks for watching.